Hi everyone, it's Olivia from Girlybunches, and in this quick video this week I'm going to be talking about these pesky straight edges. And I've had a couple of people leave me comments about showing them straight edges, and it is the bane of every crochetter's life. I think even if you knit, it's quite difficult sometimes to get a straight edge. And I've used this sample here and I've marked off different places where I've started doing different techniques, and this is all in trebles, which you may know as double crochet, but I'm British, so I call this a treble. And I've just done sort of 3 different methods of straight edges, and it's crochet and it's yarn, and you are not going to get a ruler straight edge. And I think, apart from this bit here, which I'll explain about in a minute, that's not bad. You know, this middle bit here I think is the best I'm going to get. And I understand that people do say that you get a gap, and you do get a gap that's at the edge, and I think on the most part it's pretty unavoidable. There are gaps between the stitches, so you know, let me explain. So these first few rows here I've done in trebles, and what I've done is I've done my row of chained, and then I've trebled into each one, and then I've chained 3 and I've come across and I've trebled into the last one, and I've done that all the way across. And I think you can see that compared to the rest of it, this is a little bit winky wonky. As you can see, it sort of bows out, and I personally don't ever do a treble into the top of the last treble. What I do is I do this method that's above here as I do the treble, but I do it sort of, I put it halfway down. So I do it in the second chain. I don't do it in the top of I don't do it in the third chain along, I do it in the second one. And the reason I do that is because I think it gives you a straighter edge, which I believe it does, but it also does give me this sort of gap, which I've learnt to live with, quite frankly. I've learnt to sort of just deal with it, that is how crochet is, and I understand that it bugs a lot of people, and it does bug me, but it definitely is straighter doing that than it is when you crochet a treble into the third chain, as you can see there. So I thought about just trying, well, seeing as I'm doing the treble in the second chain, what if I did a half treble in the top of the third chain? So there's kind of like a mixture of these two, but doing a half treble. And what I found is that it actually does give you a straight edge, but actually it curls up the work a bit in the corners. So it's good because you don't get that hole. If I hold this up, you can see the background. You don't get that hole that is as big as this hole, and I've marked these sections off so you can see. You don't get a bigger hole as you do when you do it with the treble into the second chain, as opposed to this method where you get the hole and you don't get a straight edge. So I think that if you play around with whatever works best for you, so as you can see, do a sample like I've done and try different methods. So mark them out, maybe do it in different colours, might be easier to see, and then keep it in a journal somewhere. You know, like this is what this method, like I think I showed you in my tension video, I made like a little booklet up with different sized hooks and doing the same stitch, just to show myself, you know, what I do when I use different hooks and different size yarns. So maybe making up your a journal of how your work comes out when you do different methods might be a good way to remember this. But I'm certainly going to keep this because this reminds me that doing a treble into the top of the third chain gives me an uneven edge like this, and gives me these loops which I'm not that keen on. The method that I sort of naturally adopt is just doing a treble into the third chain, into the second chain, so not the very top but halfway down. So it gives me a nice straight edge, but then it gives me these holes which I'm not too fussed on. And then this method of doing a half treble at the end gives me a straighter edge than this, but not as straight as this. It doesn't give me the holes, which really bug me, but it does curl it up, which I don't like. So, you know, I think working a sample piece is a really good method, and it's just a quick video to say, if you're not sure about stuff, just have a play. We've all got scrap yarn. Just have a little play, see what works best for you and what you're happy to live with. I think that, you know, I think we all naturally sort of tell ourselves we could do better, but sometimes, you know, what you're doing is actually all right. So just doing something like this puts things into perspective, I think. So if you're struggling, or you know you're not happy with something, just try it a different way. There are no set rules in this crochet yarn business. It's whatever works for you and what gives you the best result. And I think as long as you strive to get the best result, then I think you're not going to go wrong. So it was just a little quick sort of chat video, really, just to show you that, you know, there are different ways of doing things. And yes, if something's bugging you, try it a different way. Just because the instructions say you need to do it one way doesn't mean that that's right. That's right for the person that wrote those instructions, doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you. So that's the end of my little pep talk video. I hope you found it helpful. It's just a little quick one this week, but it's worth saying, I think, nonetheless. So yes, if you enjoyed that, not very exciting, but I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it helpful. There we go, that's a different way of saying it. Hope you found that helpful. I'd love a thumbs up if you did, and I've got lots of other videos you can have a look at. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you did. And until next week, take care and thanks for watching. Bye.